Welcome to TSR 5 and 5. For those of you unaware, late last year, TSR turned 5 years old. To celebrate, we are counting down the best 5 albums from inception. Joined as always by Reed. Nope, Roz and Reed. Boys, it's been a pleasure. I just don't know my directions on this podcast, but we are on the number 3. It is our Canadian provincial neighbors, Alvvays, and their third studio album, Blue Rev. So this has kind of gained them a lot of steam. They've always had a bit of a niche indie love, but now they're starting to be considered as one of the premier, at least current wise, Canadian bands. How do you think Blue Rev will shape their stance amongst there, and where do you kind of see them long term?
I can take it. So, very interesting and difficult question to answer, I think. When we discussed it very briefly in our group chat, we established that Canada is very much a, classic rock or rock incentivized country, right? You look at, Tragically Hip, Our Lady Peace, Sloan, Rush, all those, they're household names in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I could walk downtown and ask 50 people who always are, and you're still getting a pretty low percentage
Yeah.
on that. And I think that has no bearing on who they are as a band and how successful they are and how good of music they make, because obviously we're here talking about one of the best albums of the last 5 years. This guy ranked at 10. Like we splurge over this album. But I think it's just the type of music that they make isn't exactly huge in Canada right now, or I don't know if it ever really
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, we're not an indie rock country. Like, we're
Yes.
not, right?
I feel like they have a huge hurdle to get over before even being a household name. Now, like if you talk to say music lovers
They
like
love,
us,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the conversation is a little bit different, right? It's people in the know. Belinda Says was nominated for a Grammy, which I thought was super cool. We
Ooh, yeah.
we shit on the Grammys, but they're a band from Prince Edward Island. To get nominated for best alternative song,
Yep.
I think
Exactly.
is super cool for them. And
Pitchfork had them as the best album and best song of the year too, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean,
No,
they're
they're getting
they're
the
getting they're
flowers.
getting their flowers.
Yeah.
It's like you said, they're just not in the genre that really gets to that upper echelon in our country, just based off what it. They're definitely still kind of underground in terms of what they are. They're definitely more of a club type thing. I would say kind of similar along the lines of like what Metric does.
Yeah.
Like they're like a
sure, yeah.
good like indie band that maybe not quite at say Emily Haynes and Metric of that huge indie boom of the early 2000s, but that's kind of like where they're headed.
Mhm.
They would have to go really off the map, I think, to be considered amongst like the Tragically Hips and like those very prolific Canadian bands.
Hmm.
But I don't think that's a negative thing either. I think it's just what our country tends to listen to. I think when it's all said and done, they'll be considered one of the better indie bands, one of the better music loving bands that we've ever produced. And it's just like for good reason too. They're really, really, really good.
100%. And again, like let's mention, they're getting their flowers critically, and the fans will like them.
Mhm.
Will they be a household name? Will they be a Canadian heritage moment like the hip? I don't think so, unless the whole Canadian lexicon changes into a different. And I mean, as generations go by, maybe. To me, I feel like the Rankin family would be more
Yeah, well,
like,
absolutely.
oh, the Rankin family. I think that
Exactly.
would be more of a household name. And if you said, oh, there's a Rankin in Always, they'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Molly.
But they're definitely popular where it matters, and that's just with people that actually listen to them and enjoy their music.
And I think it's not only Canada, it's just a general mindset of where
That's fair.
music is. Like, the synths and the guitars and like the rock band stuff, it's still not back to where it was. Like, say if they released Blue Rev in the mid early 2000s, like they probably would have really gotten crazy up there,
Yeah.
like along with like the Vampire Weekends and stuff like that. Like that could have been their ceiling then. It's just the kind of the music industry standing now, but it's nothing against them as a band. I think they're absolutely fantastic, and hopefully they continue to grow and get some more fame in Canada.
That's a great. I'm just gonna just because you just made that point is actually a great point. That music is no longer a monolith. Like back in the day, you get radio time, and you know back in the 90s, like, and then you're everywhere. You're in every house. Everybody had a radio. With how the music industry is now, everything is so segmented into little micro pockets of if you like this kind of genre of music, you're here or you're there. The fandoms have spread out. You're not getting these big names that are just getting so much radio play and being in all the commercials and being on TV and all this stuff. You're not getting that anymore. So it's really just kind of a reflection of like how music in society has developed with technology and everything, right? So it's a much bigger story.
You need to go viral in some capacity to
I can't see Molly Rankin doing like a 7-minute TikTok like
no,
with the
no.
dance.
I know that Archie Marry Me song went pretty viral because of the Riverdale show. Like
Yeah.
it was actually featured on that. So
Yeah.
they've had some fame and they have, I think they're somewhere around 5 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Like it's nothing to shake a stick at.
Definitely
They are
not, no.
very, very well, received, I'll say. But yeah, in terms of Canada, I think we've still got a long way to go. We are a ton of people that still love country music and, old school rock. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that music. It's
No.
just, it probably pushes a ceiling on bands like always in terms of how high they can actually get.
No, definitely. But I mean, you look at the posters, like we saw them in Primavera, like they're going around. They're getting love across the world, and so they're more power to them.
A couple things they have going for them too. So one is age; they're still
Yeah,
relatively young, and they have a very good discography. Like it's a
Yeah.
3 album
Wicked.
discography. They got more, looks and notoriety with Blue Rev. If they continue putting out albums like that, like the new fans that they bring in are going to look back on that old stuff that they already have out. Like
Yeah.
they don't have a few throwaway albums in there that you don't have to listen to. Like they're 3 for 3 so far, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and we're a few days after Drake just released 3 albums on the same day. Like
And they're all
which
trash.
was just like a flooded discography of horse shit. But seriously,
I've never heard that sentence ever.
I love that.
compared to this, this band that has 3 for 3 and I don't know, quality over quantity every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll segue that into the lyricism conversation here on Molly, who primarily writes all of the lyrics for Always. And I'll probably utter this word a lot, but she's very underrated. And that just kind of speaks to their stance within the rock world. But she is just very purposeful in her writing. Like she's never content to tell a good story. It has to be a good story that uses the right vocabulary. Like there's lyrics here that you just don't hear anywhere else. And that's consistent across all 3 albums. It's just like you can kind of feel it's a song by her. When you get to know Always, you get a semblance of what she's going for. And she's just really, really good at it. It's supremely underrated lyricist.
Agree. A thought that came to my mind in revisiting this was this album in particular, I think belongs right up there with the Lenkers and the Mitskis. Like I think it's that good. Like I think it's written that good. One thing that I really love about her writing and the best songwriters do it. They kind of write sentences that transitions to the next part of the song, but they're still part of the old sentence.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're full thoughts across multiple lines of song.
Exactly. And I just love that. And like some of my favorite rappers do it. And she does it a lot on this. And I just love that like flow of it seems like it seems like a stop in the sentence because of how she sings it, but really she extends it with her next. I just love that.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. And I'll just touch on this because I agree with everything you guys are saying, but I love the kind of the breadth of what she talks about. So like I have some things here. Nostalgia and experience of growing older, going back to your hometown, look at the pharmacists, relationship issues she talks about. Very online guy. She's still in tap, like she's 38, but she still is very much understanding of the annoyances of social media culture and all this stuff. But then also homage. Belinda says, and after the earthquake, were homages to short stories, I believe, right? So I mean, she just kind of can do it all, right? She's just kind of flexing her creative muscles in all ways, which is just it's very impressive.
And yeah, I mean they're supremely relatable too, right? Like just having a fight with your significant other and like driving in the car and talking about like one's sipping on a milkshake, one's fidgeting with the heat, and it's just like it's such a like I've never heard the word fidgeting in a song before, but then she makes something you're just thinking about it and you're like right there like looking at what's happening.
Yeah,
and it really hits home. It's kind of like She does a lot of like small town
Yeah,
type
yeah,
stuff that probably resonates a little bit more with us where we're all from.
yeah.
Kind of like in a Wednesday type
I was
way.
gonna say
Yeah.
like, very much like Wednesday or even Lucy Dacus
Yeah.
telling these
Yeah.
small stories. Like
Yeah.
then that's really I don't know.
Complete thoughts is where it goes, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no, like you said, AB structure. Like she's just constantly just, picking apart her own writing. I feel like she's probably very critical of what she's doing herself.
Yeah.
And it's like it's never perfect. Like it's
Yeah.
never good enough.
I love it that in such like a deep album with all these like personal thoughts, it's called Blue Rev. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And it's just like a throwaway line on her biggest hit of the album, and
Had a lot
I
of
don't know,
those
love
in
that.
a soccer field back in junior high.
Really need it.
Yeah. Really need it. All right, let's chat about the musicianship. A word I will still struggle with.
Got a couple rankings left. We'll get there.
All right, take us away on some musicianship.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely great. The band is obviously fantastic, as we all know, and you could probably touch on the fact that they have such a heavier sound this time around
Yeah.
that really goes to their favor. But I noticed these very small things that add up so much over time. Like they would have tempo shifts and they would have key changes. Like
Yeah.
Belinda says Belinda says has like a full key change. A lot of dynamic elements, noise pop, shoegaze, a lot of different textures. Like it's chaotic, and I'm just gonna push this right into production as well because it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, okay.
There's a tightness there, whereas there's so many chaotic elements, but they're harnessed so well. Like they come together and it's so clean and so tight. Like it's like to me, it's a no skip album. Like there's nothing there that you would want to take out of there, which I find is super impressive. Fuzzy and hard hitting in your face, but still like it still has all that emotion as well. So no, it's a great mix.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a great less is more approach. Like they're
Yeah.
not, neither one of watching them, and like they're not prolific musicians at like they're just really good at what they do,
Yeah.
and they have a really good artistic output and like direction that they want to take. But like, you know, it's kind of like they're more about a team. They all come together to make this like really great sound of like distortion and use of effect pedals
Mhm.
and the synths. And then with Molly's voice, it's just like it's really, really good, but
Yeah.
nothing stands out as like the key element
No,
that stirs
Very
the drink.
cohesive, extremely cohesive. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. Like you touch on all the, various sounds and looks that they give us on the album, but at no point does it not sound like this album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe Molly's voice is like the unifying factor in all that, but like even like a Pomeranian Spinster, like
Yeah.
it speeds things up, but it still feels like the same album. And as it gets to the later tracks after Belinda says, like it really slows down again a little bit.
Yep.
But just through and through, it always sounds the same, just a little bit different. And the intricacies for me too is
Yeah.
is a
a
huge
lot,
part.
it's a lot going on, but it's never overwhelming, right? And I know I kind of put this together with production, but I just want to speak on this when it comes to everything, is the background of the creation of this album.
Yeah.
Like losing, like what was it?
Losing the tapes, losing.
Someone stole her tape. They stole her tape.
So Alec O'Smalley, who's their guitarist, he had a laptop stolen.
Yeah.
And then she lost her like voice recorder, which she put like a ton of notes
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And it was all during COVID, so like there was no support in even like from, I don't know how far down the loop they went with like police officers or anything trying to get it back, but like there was no support. That
No,
everyone was like
definitely not.
just stuck in their house.
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
So like you can only imagine the early days of COVID and what that was like. But yeah, if you
Was it
want
like a flood too, like
yeah, they lost their basement in a recording
I mean,
studio.
I wondered, like, when it came to the creation, the recording and arranging and everything of this album, like how much of that frustration was pushed into the music. You know what I mean? Because like they're going through like every hurdle, but they still like crank out such an amazing album. So it's really a testament.
I would love to like know what changed. Like she says that she was able to recover most of her thoughts, because I mean most things
Yeah.
live in your brain, but you got to wonder, like, if she never lost that or he never lost his laptop, what does this album look like? Maybe it comes out sooner.
It'd be
Maybe
different.
they get a lot of it done,
Yeah.
and they're not stuck in a recording studio with no one to push it ahead, right? So
Yeah.
it's timing really.
And she definitely lost a few. Like music's one of those things, man. Like when it hits, and like
Yeah.
it's so fleeting. Like she probably came up with something that she wouldn't have, and she probably lost something that she can't like bring back. So I mean, it's a great question.
Yeah, and to add to what I love about the production of this album is 14 tracks, 39 minutes.
So tight, man.
That is a nuts output.
it
That
is
many
clean.
songs. There is not a second wasted on this album. And when there's 14 tracks and we're sitting here saying it's a no skip album,
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible.
Super impressive.
That's very, very incredible.
Yep.
Reason why it's number 3.
Yeah.
Favorite song?
Belinda Says is nipping at the heels, but After the Earthquake for me is still on top.
Yeah, I stick with Belinda Says.
Yeah. I love Very Online Guys so much. It's just so fun and catchy, and the synth work great. But I'm gonna stick with Lottery Noises.
Nice.
That's what I had. Just when we reviewed it, I picked it, and I just felt like how the album is raw and visceral, like that, like the part when she just screams out at the end. It's just
so
like,
good.
it's just so raw, and it just to me kind of encapsulates not only the frustration with making this album, but just the overall sound that they're going with here.
Where do you guys land on the X factor that makes Blue Rev so great?
For me, it's Molly. I just think she does everything.
Yeah.
Singer, songwriter, producer. She's the leader.
Yeah.
And I just think that's it. I think she's the straw that stirs the drink. She's an excellent performer. We saw her in Primavera, and maybe again someday.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in and say that I think Molly is the always X factor. She is the reason that the band is so good. But for this album specifically, I think there's a balance here in terms of their artistic direction that makes it so good. Like, they're coming off these power pop albums, going into shoegaze, which only recently started to come back into modern like play of rock music, and they were like one of the first people to do it in the early 2020s. And now we're hearing shoegaze albums almost every week, right? And then you have the 14 tracks over 39 minutes. It balances, it ebbs and flows across the shoegaze, back into power pop, and like you said, Molly ties it all together. I just think they found some magic in the balance between the genres, the track list, just them all coming together as a band. There's an X factor of balance here.
Yeah,
I think.
it comes like their opus, just everything kind of lines up perfectly, right? Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
experience plus skill, and it all comes together. Mine kind of leans both of your guys' ways because I went for this album. The X factor is the production. Having Grammy winner Sean Everett, he did Shakes, War on Drugs, The Killers. Him plus Molly herself is a big producer. She's one of the main producers, so she has her fingers and everything. And Alex O'Hanley as well, guitarist. He also helps produce. Zero fat, super ambitious, like no skips. It's just a testament, like you said, for the amount of songs and the length that it is. It's so tight. I think that's what really makes it stand out.
Yeah, we all hit the same things there. First, I had, is it okay to say Molly as my answer? And then we already recorded, and you say Brendan for Turnstile. So yeah, all right, I'm using Molly. But basically like production and kind of the same thing, the ebbs and flows, and they keep it all together were my other points. So excellent.
Definitely. Well, guys, we've gone through all of our topics here for this is our number 3. So re-rank time, fellas. Again, I ask, where does Blue Rev fall on your score sheet now?
Mine goes from an 8 to a 9.3.
Yeah, I already have a TikTok out about this. I think I think it's I prephrase this with that. I don't think a 10 means perfect. I think it means it's an album that is worth listening to, that any music lover can find greatness in this. There's no flaws in the album. It's not perfection. That doesn't exist in music, but I do think that this would qualify amongst my, 10 to 20 10s that I have in my life.
Definitely. No, that's a great answer. And again, like you said, there's a reel out about it. If you guys want to hear him explain it more, no, it's a great take on it. For me, I'm right in the middle with you guys, and for me, it lands at 9.6.
Great album.
She's up there. She's up there. And that's it. So everybody, there you have it. Always Blue Rev. That is our number 3 in our top 5 in 5 years. We'll see you next time for our number 2. And as always, stay tuned.
Sweet.